Hey guys, this is Tom from Numbers Game Lifestyle, and today we're going to be talking about neck training, especially when you're cutting weight and or if you're bald, okay, and you got a bald look, your head's completely shaved. It's very important to do neck training if you're in one of those categories. If you're trying to lose weight, get super lean, or if you're shaving your head bald, it's a good idea to incorporate neck training. All right. And I'll go over first why cutting it's so important while you're losing weight and getting super lean is because the leaner you get, the more your neck is going to shrink. This is like the fat layer of all over your body is going to get thinner and your neck is going to get smaller and smaller the whole way through. This is why you'll see like competitive bodybuilders that look like they have big necks in the off season, but once they step on stage and they're like completely shredded, their necks shrink considerably, almost like, it kind of looks like toothpicks in comparison to what the rest of their body looks like. And it's just because when you're in that like big of a calorie deficit for that long a period, what it takes to get super lean, your body's gonna, lose weight all over. And if you're not doing any kind of neck training, you'll lose muscle in your neck as well. Your body's going to be like, hey, you don't need this much neck muscle. You're not using it. So I'm going to shrink that down along with all your fat stores and everything like that. Whatever doesn't get worked gets slimmed down and gets torn away. It gets eaten away at over time. This is why you'll see like guys that have like big necks in the off season. And then once they get like on stage, their necks are like kind of look like toothpicks in comparison because they didn't do any direct neck work while they were cutting. And a lot of the times, like that's what it'll take to, convince your body to hold on to that neck muscle because it's like it's being worked. And your head isn't very heavy. It's not enough, resistance to, compel your body to hold on to that muscle in that big of a deficit, while you're getting super lean. Your neck is going to shrink if you don't work it directly. Okay, so that's the guys that are like getting super lean. You probably won't notice very much like difference in your neck circumference if you're just getting like slightly lean. But as you get leaner and leaner, and shredded, your neck is going to get smaller and smaller if you don't do something to counteract like the atrophy that's going to happen to your neck. Okay, so that's like if you're cutting, incorporate neck training. It's if you want to maintain like a decent sized neck. And another big thing is for guys that are completely bald, they're bald, they shave their heads, like a good idea for guys that are balding to just shave it all off. But what happens is a lot of the times the reason why guys don't look good bald is not because their head shape or their jaw shape or anything like that. It's simply because their neck isn't big enough. I don't think I've ever seen a bald guy with a thick neck that looked bad. They all look very masculine, very put together, very strong, and, attractive. Whereas you take a guy, you shave his head, and he's got a little neck, the guy just looks weak. He looks like sickly. He looks ill, almost, like especially like white guys. We don't have that much color, right? So when you look pale, skinny, with no hair, yeah, it kind of looks like you're sick. So this is why, like, if you're shaving your head bald, you're losing your hair and it's going to be a reality soon, incorporate neck training. Neck training should be a staple. You want to get that neck as thick as possible. So like when you shave your head, you'll actually look good. It doesn't matter. Some people are like, oh, my head just doesn't look good when I shave my head, or my face isn't like, my bone structure isn't good enough to shave my head and still look good. Not in my experience. I've seen guys that very bad head shapes, very bad jaws or like bone structure. But if you have a thick neck, it just ties everything together in terms of like your skull, your neck, your shoulders. It makes the guy look good. And it's not a big of a deal if you have lots of hair and you're not shaving your head. Neck training, really not a high priority for most people unless you're cutting, right? But if you're bald, it should be a staple. Like if you should have a big neck. It'll make everything look better. You know, you'll look strong. You won't look sickly. It's a good way of increasing your attractiveness with a bald head. And a lot of like bald guys could benefit that. The reason why you don't look good bald is because your neck is too thin. And that's an easy fix. Just incorporate neck training. Now, with that said, what do you do to work out your neck? And you kind of have to be careful with neck training, okay? Because the bigger your neck gets, the more likelihood you'll get sleep apnea, which is where you stop breathing while you sleep. And a lot of guys with thick necks end up needing, CPAP machines to actually breathe during the night. They actually stop breathing, so they require machines strapped to their face in order to breathe at night. Not exactly worth it, in my opinion, to have a thick neck, big body, but require a machine for you to breathe at night. It's kind of a bad trade-off. So how do you go about doing this? You want your neck thicker, but you don't want to get like sleep apnea at the same time. And I noticed this myself. I incorporated all kinds of neck training, like neck extensions, where you put a plate on the back of your head and you lift it up. And that is the safest, most efficient way of building your neck without having to worry about sleep apnea. Okay, because all the muscle is going to be on the back of your neck, on the sides of your neck. The thing is, when you work the front of your neck with flexion, you put a weight on your forehead and you start building your neck that way, you will build these, I forget what kind of muscles they're called, but they get a lot bigger. I noticed this myself. When I started doing those, my front of my neck got really like thick. The muscles got thicker. But I noticed my girlfriend was like, man, you're really snoring. Like, you're snoring super loud now. And I'm like, oh crap. Like, I better hold off on this, because I could actually feel it like condensing around my throat, around my trachea. As the muscles got bigger, it was kind of like, clamping down on my whole throat. And I can feel that. Like, that's what causes sleep apnea. It's that weight on the front of your throat. It doesn't matter whether it's muscle or fat. That weight on the front of your throat is going to cause you to have like sleep apnea. So that's why I stopped doing any kind of flexion exercises with my neck to build up the front of my neck. I'm like, okay, I'm not doing that. I'm going to stick with all the building the back of my neck up the whole way as much as I can. And I never had to worry about snoring really loud or having sleep apnea after that, as I stopped doing those kind of flexion exercises that build the front of the neck. And that's the thing, like maybe if you don't really care, and you're like, yeah, I don't care, like I just want the thickest neck possible, then yeah, go right ahead doing flexion or extension exercises, do flexion exercises. But man, when you do flexion exercises, you're going to build the front of your neck, and that's going to put pressure like all around your like trachea, restricting your breathing. And for me, I could notice it right away. And the girlfriend was telling me like, man, you're snoring super loud now. I'm like, okay, like I better lay off like the neck training. And yeah, what you'll notice is a lot of the times is guys with, I think they say over 16 inches, your like risk for sleep apnea goes way up. I think mine is like 17 right now. I don't really have to worry about any kind of sleep apnea at this point. But yeah, you have to make sure that you don't overdo it and get to a point where you need a machine to help you breathe at night. Yeah, not a good look. Yeah, so in terms of the exercises, what I do to build the back of my neck, it still gets wider even from the back. It's essentially like building your triceps, right? Your arm still gets bigger, but it's from the back. It's not putting any pressure on the front of your neck. So you put a plate, a towel, wrap a towel on the back of your head, put a plate on, and then you just lift up, keep your chin tucked, and you just lift up over and over again. It's a neck extension. You can look it up. There's tons of videos on how to do them. Very easy to do at home. All you need is like a towel and a light weight, maybe like 5 pounds, 10 pounds. And you start with that and you gradually build your way up. And your neck is something that'll respond really well, because honestly, it doesn't get much work just holding up your head. And that is why like you end up losing neck mass when you do a lot of heavy cut. Over time, you're going to lose a lot of neck mass if you don't incorporate some kind of resisting training to work your neck at the same time. If you need help transforming your body, whether that's building muscle, losing fat, getting shredded, whatever it is, diet manipulation, I help guys do that. There's coaching links down below. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Thanks for watching.